In this video, I'll show you how to work the Chinese Waitress bind-off. The Chinese Waitress bind-off creates a decorative edge with a 2-stitch cording that nicely matches the Chinese Waitress cast-on. It is a bind-off that is a little stretchy and is good for shawls and edges that need a little sturdiness but also some leniency. To work the Chinese Waitress bind-off, you'll need to know how to do a purl stitch in the Eastern method, which involves wrapping the yarn around the needle in the opposite direction from the Western method that you may be used to. I'll go over that in this video, but if you want to learn more about the different methods of knitting, you can find out more information on the wiki. To begin the Chinese Waitress bind-off, Eastern purl the next stitch. Start by moving the yarn to the front of the work, just like you would if you were going to purl. Insert the right needle from back to front through the leading leg of the next stitch. If you are a Western method knitter, this will be the front leg of the stitch. If you are an Eastern method knitter, this will be the back leg of the stitch. Here I am working in the Western method, so I'm going to insert the needle into the front leg, which is the leading leg. Wrap the yarn from beneath the right needle, in between the needles, and over the right needle to the front of the work. Pull the new loop created through the existing stitch on the left needle and drop the existing stitch from the left needle. Now create a yarn over by bringing the yarn over the right needle to the back of the work. We're going to create another Eastern purl, and to do that we want to bring the yarn to the front of the work again. If we bring it over the needle, we're undoing that yarn over we just created, and we don't want to do that, so make sure to bring the yarn to the front of the work beneath the right needle. Insert the needle from back to front through the leading leg of the stitch and wrap the yarn from beneath the right needle, between the needle tips, and over the right needle to the front of the work. Pull the new loop created through the existing stitch on the left needle and drop the existing stitch from the left needle. And now we begin the real bind-off process. Pass the yarn over, or the middle stitch on the right needle, over the stitch closest to the tip of the right needle and off from the right needle. Pass the second stitch over the stitch closest to the right needle tip and off from the right needle. We now have one stitch remaining on the right needle. Repeat these steps of yarn over, Eastern purl, and passing stitches off the needle until all the stitches are bound off. Let's go over that twice more. Create a yarn over by bringing the yarn over the right needle to the back of the work, and then create an Eastern purl by moving the yarn underneath the right needle back to the front of the work. Insert the right needle from back to front through the leading leg of the next stitch. Wrap the yarn underneath the right needle between the needle tips and over the right needle to the front of the work, and complete that purl stitch. Now pass the second stitch on the needle off from the right needle, and then do that again, so we're left with the stitch most recently created on the right needle. And here we go once more. Create a yarn over by bringing the yarn from front to back over the right needle, and now we're going to create an Eastern purl, and we need the yarn in front, so wrap that yarn back underneath the right needle to the front of the work. Insert the right needle from back to front through the leading leg of the next stitch on the left needle. Wrap the yarn underneath the right needle between the needle tips and over the right needle, and complete your purl stitch. Now pass those 2 stitches over the stitch that we most recently created. You can see we're starting to get a nice cording going. Once you've bound off the last stitch, break the yarn and pull the yarn all the way through to fasten off. And that's how you work the Chinese Waitress bind-off.